8.2 is multiples of fractions. So before we were doing unit fractions, now we're just taking a step further and doing fractions. First thing we're looking at is listing the next multiples of a fraction. So when we're given something like 3/4, we want to think, okay, what are those next multiples, or we're going to skip count. So we're going to think, I'm going to add 3/4 at a time. So if I do 3/4 plus 3/4, or two groups of 3/4, that would get me 6/4. Then if I add 3 more, or 3 groups of 3/4, would be 9/4. Do that again, I would get 12/4. Next, I would get 15/4. And they'll catch on pretty quick and go, oh, my denominator stays the same. I just multiply or skip count by my top. The other thing that it will ask them to do is to look at something like 3 times 3/8. And we'll say, okay, what is 3 times 3/8? So we're thinking 3 times 3/8 is really 3/8 plus 3/8 plus 3/8. We're adding 3/8 those 3 times, repeated addition. I know 3 plus 3 plus 3, so that's why my denominator stays the same, is 9. So it gets me that 9/8. A lot of the kids will start to notice I just multiply my whole number by the top. I'll say the same again, repeated addition. Our denominator is the same as we add across. So the one thing, it's going to ask them to take it a step further, and it will say, okay, now you're going to write this answer as a product of a whole number and a unit fraction. So 3 times 3/8 does equal 9/8. What it wants us to do is say, though, that becomes 9 times 1/8. So that little, we're going to do both parts. Another example would be 4 times 2/3. So I'm thinking, okay, 2/3 plus 2/3 plus 2/3 plus 2/3. Well, I know denominator stays the same. 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, or 2 times 4 gets me that 8/3. So now I'm thinking, if the directions say write it as a product of a whole number and a unit fraction, I need to sort of transform it. So 8/3, now I'm thinking back to what we did in 8.1. 8/3 would become 8 times 1/3. So again, it's realizing that relationship between those.